Good morning, everybody. I seem to have a head cold, and I think maybe one or two other people have similar stuff going on. I apologize if that impairs my ability to communicate in any way. Kalara, could I ask you to push the damping lever in on the fire just a little bit to slow the burn down, and maybe put another log on it too?
So about halfway in?
Yeah, about halfway in should be good.
Okay.
So thank you all for coming. I'd like to share a few thoughts with you and then kind of open it up for discussion or questions and answers. Let's say thank you for coming. Thank you for setting aside this time to do this retreat and to engage in spiritual practice. And I was thinking that last night as I watched all of you leaving the Zendo. I was waiting to go back inside and turn out the lights. And as people went out, I thought, everybody is really a wonderful person. And what each of you is doing is truly fantastic. Setting aside time to engage in spiritual practice. So I was very inspired by it. Very inspired that you would all do this. And then I woke up this morning and I decided not to go to the Zendo because my head was feeling so stuffy and I was also coughing a little bit. Well, whatever. I was thinking, maybe I should stop talking in terms of spiritual practice. There's something a little bit too nebulous about the term spiritual. What is it? Are we referring to some kind of otherworldliness? Some kind of, I don't know, spiritual, what is it? So I thought, I wonder if there's another word that I could use. Something that probably captures a little bit more of the vitality of it. And I thought, existential. That's it. We're all engaging in an existential practice. And then my mind started wondering, yeah, in some ways, at least my spiritual journey started out as an existential journey. The question, what am I to do with this life? What is the best way to live it? What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of it? What on earth are we doing here? What is this thing that we call existence? How do we find meaning in this world? And I was looking for something that I could kind of pour my heart into, something that I could give my life energy to. And so it felt as though there had to be more to life than going to work, watching TV, having food, whatever, taking care of the basic necessities. There had to be something more worthwhile in it. So I called that existential, because I had read a book or two on existentialist philosophy. So yeah, I was primed for Buddhism. I went along to a meditation class given by a Buddhist teacher of the Western Buddhist order. And that introduced me to some of the ideas and concepts in Buddhism. One concept was that you can develop insight into the true nature of reality. I thought, wow, that could be pretty amazing. Another one is that there is a relief from dukkha, or there is the cessation of dukkha upon that insight. So upon seeing the true nature of reality, you bring to an end the cycle of dukkha. And I'm using the term dukkha instead of its common translation, suffering, because it's more nuanced. It isn't simply suffering. Its etymological root is more to do with dissatisfaction. And if you're looking for a meaningful life, until you find it, life is fairly dissatisfying. So we're looking for something that will make life satisfying. And what it is that makes life satisfying is seeing into the true nature of reality or existence. And in that, there is a liberation from our dissatisfaction. Sometimes this insight is called seeing things as they really are, or hearing things as they really are. But I prefer to use Suzuki Roshi's slant, which is to say, seeing things as it is. Seeing things as it really is. So this existential quest, I thought, as you explore it, as you make inroads into it, and before I do that, this existential quest, in and of itself, there's a little bit of a loophole. Because if we take it that life has no intrinsic meaning, or therefore intrinsic value, there is a moral loophole. We're off the hook in terms of responsibility. But what I found was that as I made inroads into this quest for seeing things as it really is, I began to develop a sense of the interconnectedness of all things. We are deeply interconnected with each other, but also with the water and the fire, the elements, the trees that sustain us, the food that sustain us. Our lives are interwoven. We could not do this retreat on our own. Or maybe we could, but it would be very difficult. So we are supporting each other in our practice. So as you make inroads into the quest for seeing things as it really is, you develop a sense of the interconnectedness and interrelatedness of all being. I really like Thich Nhat Hanh's way of phrasing it, interbeing. And this then is where spirituality comes in. Spirituality is an exploration of that interconnectedness, of that interbeing. And spirituality, I thought as I lay there in bed this morning, spirituality plugs the existential loophole. We're no longer off the hook because of this interconnectedness, interwovenness, interrelatedness. We have to approach all things and all aspects of our life with great care and great attention. So I could say that I started out as on an existentialist quest, which became a spiritual path or journey. And there are many aspects of Zen which expound this interconnectedness and celebrate it. All of us in this room are on a journey. You've come from somewhere to here. That is making a journey. And when you're here, you will go back to maybe where you came from or somewhere else. You will leave here. So that is a physical journey. And behind it, there is some kind of spiritual or existential intent. So then we have the existential journey or the spiritual journey that goes hand in hand with the physical journey. The earth, too, is on a journey. It's on its annual journey. And we're reaching the nadir of its cycle, at least in our hemisphere. The days are darkening. The days are shortening. And in ancient lore or ancient practice, this journey of the earth was deeply wedded into the human journey. So at one stage, Shokuchi and I called this retreat, what what did we call it? It was something to do with the solstice. Returning to the light, I think we called it. So there is this sense of the days shortening and darkening, and a sense of our journey going into the depths. So we're taking ourselves deeper along our path. And then on the other side of the 21st, the days begin to lengthen and light begins to return. So this is kind of the culmination of our journey, where we go as deeply in as we can. And then we come out again. When I started off on my path, I was really inspired by Joseph Campbell's TV series. He was interviewed by Bill Moyers. And if you haven't seen the series, I would highly recommend it. Yeah. I think it's called, what was it called? Hero with 1,000 Faces? Or is that a book?
It's not the power of myth.
The Power of Myth, that's it. Yes, The Power of Myth. But in it, he talks about the hero's journey. And as I saw you leaving the Zendo last night, I thought, each one is a hero. We're on our journey, and it's an heroic journey. And in that heroic journey, there is the hero, you and me, gets the call, right? You're going through life and hey, there must be more to life than this. And you think, maybe I'll find it down this road. That's the calling. But you mightn't go down that road for a year or 5 years or 10 years. The number of people who have said they only live 2 or 3 blocks from San Francisco Zen Center, but they never went in. But they always felt as though they should go in, right? So the heroic journey starts with the call. And then there comes a point of crossing the threshold. So for the person who lives on Page Street, that's when they actually step in through the door. They cross the threshold. But really it's more later. It's when you realize that this path, this journey, this practice is for you. Whether you make a commitment or not isn't so much the question. It's more that one day it dawns on you that you're committed to this. So it's not so much a rational thing, it's just you find yourself making decisions, sacrificing other things so that you can do this, and you realize, I guess I'm committed to this. So then your journey really begins, and you meet with beings of various shades who will help you on your way. It's a little bit like one of those video games that I never play, but I hear a lot about. You encounter these beings that help you on your way, give you things that will help you, little nuggets, little gems of inspiration that will encourage you to keep going. And then you encounter other beings who try to stand in your way and prevent you from going any further. Right? But eventually you make it to the nadir. You go into the underworld and you get to the very end of it. And in that very end of it is the treasure. But it's no good just to stay down there with the treasure. You have to come back. And again, you're going to have to fight your way back in some cases, or you get help from other beings in other ways, and you come back to the world with gift bestowing hands. Okay. So, sometimes people ask me, I'm going to Ireland, is there anything that I must do? And I say, you must visit Newgrange. Newgrange is a Neolithic monument, 5,000 years old, older than the Great Pyramids. And you could say it's shaped like this. And there's an entranceway, and that entranceway is aligned with sunrise on the 21st of December. So they went to considerable lengths to construct this stone building, a roof that has not leaked in 5,000 years. As you go in through the very narrow passage, and you're making your way, there's rocks on either side, you can squeeze your way through. And because you're occupied with the walls pressing in on you, you may not notice that you've actually been going uphill, very slightly. And you get to an inner chamber, a round inner chamber with 3 enclaves, where they actually found remains of the dead. So they think that the people were cremated outside, and then the remains were brought inside. But you've been going uphill, and the floor that you're standing on is now in alignment with a letterbox roof opening. It's the door that you came in, or the entrance that you came in, there's a letterbox above it. I mean, the letterbox is this size. It's not. Okay. And the floor that you're standing on is in alignment with that letterbox opening. And those two form a line with the horizon, where the sun breaks the horizon on the 21st. So it's like this, the earth is receiving a renewal of energy on the 21st, and presumably the deceased are too. It is their journey into the darkness, and then out of the darkness and into the light. And that we're doing that journey in our retreat. We are concentrating our practice, giving ourselves to meditation and yoga, intensifying our practice, going in as far as we can, finding our own nadir. And then we re-emerge from that, and we come back into the light, into the everyday world, with gift bestowing hands. And if you've done a retreat before, you know what I'm talking about. You know that when you go back into the world, people will say things like, there's something different about you. Or there's a glow about you. what did you do there? Right? So we enter into the darkness, plumb the depths of our practice as much as we can. And then with whatever inspiration we got from that, or whatever relief from dukkha we got from that, we go back into the world renewed and refreshed, reborn. Some of you know, and pretty soon all of you will know, because I'm about to tell you, that I have my own temple now in Ireland. And it's still very basic. I can have a retreat for about 7 people, 8 people, or sesshin. I have the summer retreat, which 2 years ago was called the Summer Solstice Retreat. And this year we called it the Lunasa Retreat. I don't want to get into why we called it the Lunasa. It's in August, as opposed to June. And Lunasa was the ancient celebration of August. And in that, I do almost no teaching. It's great. I just get to support the retreat. And I invite in 2 or 3 other teachers. So I had Sarah from England giving her embodied wisdom contact dance class, contact improv class. Anand from Dublin giving her Osho meditations class. Maybe you've heard of Osho, the guru from India who has recently, well, not recently, I think he passed away in the 80s, but there's a big following of Osho, and his teachings and meditations are still very popular. So I asked Anand to come in and give her meditation teachings from Osho. Dynamic meditation, laughing meditation, and some other meditation. Okay. Then we all went down the lane, 2 miles or so down the lane. I'm at the far end of the lane, but Karima is at the beginning of the lane, and she does sound baths. So we had a sound bath. And we watched 1 or 2 movies, and we had some Lunasa games. So this part of the celebration of Lunasa is that you have games. So we had a 3-legged race and a egg and spoon race, and we had some archery. Okay, so the idea was fun, exploration, connectivity. And I see this summer retreat as the flowering or the opening up of our practice, where we explore other things. Then comes Samhain, Halloween. And at Halloween, we have a sesshin, not a retreat. The difference is that a sesshin is much more formal. So we're concentrating more on our Zen practice. But there is chanting, there is Dharma talks, there's activity other than Zazen. And it's a kind of transition from the summer into getting ready for the winter. Now after Samhain, we have Rohatsu. Rohatsu is at the beginning of December. And you've noticed that we've switched from summer solstice. Lunasa is an Irish phrase, and then Rohatsu is Japanese phrase. We're getting seriously into Zen practice, relentlessly into Zen practice. It's this sense of going deeper into the underworld or the inner world, going into the depths of our practice, so that after the 21st we can come out of it refreshed and renewed. That's my sense of it at my temple in Ireland, that the summer is this opening up, a time to explore different practices, and then the winter is a time to go into the depths of our practice. So with that, all these things in mind, on Saturday, which is the 21st, in the evening, we will have a solstice meditation and ritual in the Zendo. I think in the Zendo. Maybe we'll do it here. Let's see which conjures up a stronger sense in my mind as we go through the next few days. Okay, thank you for listening to me. And open to questions, comments, observations. The Power of Myth. It's a series of interviews with Bill Moyers and Joseph Campbell. Yeah. And